Welcome to the 2017 Dundee Vikings football preview show. I'm Frank Vashner. Tonight we will preview the upcoming season by talking with coaches and players, as well as to get to know some of the players a little bit better. Now, last season, the Vikings put together a 4-5 regular season record while going 3-4 in the LCAA. Two close losses to Blissfield and Brooklyn Columbia Central ultimately spelled the difference between a postseason appearance at the end of October and staying home come playoff time. This season, the Vikings return a plethora of talented players who are hungry to get the team back in the playoffs for the first time since 2012. When we come back after the break, we'll go inside the huddle with head coach Kyle McIlvain. Welcome back to the Dundee Vikings football preview show. We're now joined by head coach Kyle McIlvain as he enters his third season at the helm. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Alrighty. So now, what are your expectations for this season, given the amount of skill players that you have returning?
I'll be honest with you. We have high expectations, but for us, it's just, having a great practice. Inside, the meeting rooms and the locker rooms, we have our goals, but for us, from an outside perspective, is all we care about is, that process and getting better every day and being the best team we can be. And hopefully, if we do that, the rest will play itself out.
Yeah. Now, most everyone who's been following Dundee football knows what Ben Miller can and will do on offense. But who else should fans expect to make an impact on the offensive side of the ball?
Offensive side of the ball besides Ben, I think, it starts with Cole Salem being our quarterback, who, he's coming back for his second year with us. And then, you got to mention Austin Gabriel, who's another explosive running back of ours. And then, after that, you still have George Salenbean, who's another senior running back. You have Blaze McBee, who's a talented sophomore. They'll be with us. And then you can't forget the guys up front. Two of our leaders on the offensive line is our center, Callan Lewis, and our left guard, Kyle Reinhardt.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad I can sit here and say we have a lot of different guys to look out for.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the offensive line, they did suffer some pretty heavy losses to graduation, but you mentioned Callan Lewis and Kyle Reinhardt, and as well as Thomas Zonka, they're back as well. Does having those guys back ease the transition for newcomers on the line?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it helps, too, because they're very intelligent kids. They help us coach, as the game goes on. And really, when it comes to game nights, our kids are making the calls up front on the offensive line. I can't be out there and do it myself. So, and a lot of it I put on Callan Lewis. He kind of directs traffic up there. He'll make the blocking calls, and he can change things at the line of scrimmage. And so far he's done a great job.
Yeah, you've mentioned several of the running backs besides Ben, but is there anyone else on the offense who's kind of flying under the radar right now, and by season's end, everybody's going to know who they are?
I would say probably Cal McIlvain. He was a starting halfback for us last year, and we moved him to tight end this year. And I have a good feeling about him. He's a kid. He works hard in practice. He works hard, too, watching film with us. He spends a lot of time in the offseason actually watching film with some of the coaches. So I expect him to have a big year. And because of the position change, I don't think many people expect him to be a standout, but knowing his work ethic, I think he will.
Yeah. Now, switching to the other side of the ball, I believe you have 8 starters back on defense, but there were 2 huge losses with Tyler Turner and Jared Layton. Who steps in to fill those spots?
The kid I just said, Cal McIlvain, he'll step up and he'll take Tyler Turner's spot at Mike linebacker. And for us, that's a huge position. As far as Jared Layton, we expect Timmy Van to step in at free safety. And Cole Salenbean will also play some safety there as well as needed. So,
yeah. Now, I've read a couple of things online that say the secondary is going to be the strength, and others say the linebackers are going to be the strength. Which group of the defense do you think is going to be the strength of the unit, like the heart and soul? Do your linebackers, your secondary, or is your defensive line?
That's hard to say. If you went on experience, you'd have to say the linebackers. But I'll tell you, I think the surprise position group will be our defensive line. It's anchored by mostly some new guys, but they're tough guys.
Yeah. Now, who do you expect to be someone make an impact on defense? Do you expect somebody like Cal McIlvain, who's stepping into Tyler Turner's spot? And also, who's somebody that's flying under the radar on defense right now?
I'll tell you, there's two guys that are flying under the radar, and really because they're first-year football players for us, and that's Zach Belair and Austin Schultz, who will play defensive line for us. And they both pose, different problems to the defense. Austin Schultz is 6'5", 260, and he's tough. And Zach Belair's on the smaller side, but he's fast. And he's a state championship wrestler, so he knows how to work hard, and he'll be a handful for some teams, hopefully.
Yeah. Now, looking at the special teams, Carter Scott's back at kicker, and Austin Gabriel is a threat to take it the distance in the return game. Who steps in at punter, and do you think your special teams is going to be a strength this year?
Well, we always try. We spend time every day on all of our special teams. As far as punter, we have a couple kids battling out right now, and one would be Luke Williams, he'll be a sophomore this year. And then Cole Sallenbean also will be back there punting, and each kind of have their own, different angle of, being a threat. But no, we expect a lot of our special teams. It's something we put time in every day. As you can see, our practice plan is, we hit every unit every day. So.
Yeah. Now, we look at the conference, and in the LCAA, Hudson appears to be the favorite on paper. Other people are saying Brooklyn, Columbia Central. And then I've even heard some others say that from second on through fifth, sixth is anybody's guess. Now, you guys have to travel to Hudson, which that's likely going to be the toughest game of the year. But you get Hillsdale, Ida, and Columbia Central, all of whom were playoff teams last year and look like they could do it again this year at home. Are any of those guys, along with Hudson, and the biggest hurdles, or do you think there's another team that could surprise everyone and throw their hat in the ring?
I think that team would be Blissfield. They return a lot on both sides of the ball. They have some very talented running backs. They have a very athletic freshman quarterback, actually, that's going to surprise some people.
Yeah. Now, last season, you guys ended up going 4-5 and stayed home for the postseason, but 2 losses to Columbia Central and Blissfield, which were real close, ultimately spelled the difference. Is there more of a finish the job message to the team this season?
There is and there isn't. For us, it's always about, being the best team we can be. For us, we were just talking in film a little bit ago about how we're not going to make any one game to be bigger than the rest. For us, it's about our standard. We want to have a great practice today. We want to be the best team we can be today. And, that'll be the same on Friday night. We expect to do things to assert our standard, and hopefully if we do that, wins will follow.
All righty. Well, Coach, thank you for your time. We'll take a short time out, and we'll be back for a roundtable discussion with senior captains Cole Sallenbean, Austin Gabriel, and Callum Lewis right after this. Welcome back to the Dundee Vikings football preview show. As we move on to our segment for our senior roundtable discussion, we welcome the program senior quarterback and defensive back Cole Sallenbean, senior running back and defensive back Austin Gabriel, and senior offensive and defensive lineman Callum Lewis to give us their thoughts on the upcoming season, as well as to get to know them a little bit better. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Good.
Alrighty. So first question, how long have each of you been playing football?
I've been playing football since about 3rd grade, 4th grade.
I would have to say it's about the same time. We all been playing together for a long time. So.
Yeah, same thing since about 3rd, 4th grade.
So why do you guys play the current position that you do? Was it what you wanted to do, what you started with, or did you start somewhere else and then kind of change that out of necessity?
It's kind of just where I fit. I started out as tackle and just moved to center with Deeds.
I always want to play running back. That's just how I always wanted to do it.
I've been playing quarterback since we started. It's just something I like to do and the position I like the most.
Now let's talk game days a little bit. So what are some things that you do on game days from an individual standpoint? Do you guys have traditions for yourselves, or do you do something together, or anything?
Most of us just sit in the locker room with a big speaker and listen to music before games, try to get hyped up.
I just listen to music and watch film before a game. Just get ready.
Yeah, we got a new speaker, so we usually just someone hook up to it, just sit in the locker room and play music as loud as it can possibly go.
Now, who was the toughest player for you to go against on the field in your career?
I would say Eric Bug from Ida.
Yeah, I agree with Austin. He was one of the toughest running backs to try and stop.
The whole Ida backfield.
Now, do you guys have some individual and team goals for this season? And if so, what are they?
Not a fumbled snap between our center and quarterbacks.
I just want to win games and have fun with my friends.
Yeah, me and Callan set the goal to not have any fumbled snap this year, so we can win the turnover margin.
Now, in terms of the conference title race, on paper, Hudson looks like the favorite. Now, besides them, who do you think could possibly stand in the way of you guys throwing your hat in the ring?
I think BCC. I think BCC is a good team.
Yeah, BCC is a real good team. I think it'll be hard to face them.
I agree with Austin and Callan. Brooklyn's probably going to be one of the other tough teams that compete for the title.
And last question, and since you guys are all seniors, once you graduate high school, what are your plans for college?
I'm going to be going to college for computer engineering.
I currently do not know what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah, I also do not know what I'm going to be doing and going to college or whatever.
Hopefully, Cole and Austin, you guys can figure it out, but just remember, whatever you decide to do, I wish you guys the best of luck in it. So that'll do it for our season preview. Special thanks to Jared Jansen and JJ Sports Video for filming today's program. The boys will kick off the regular season in Carleton, Michigan against Airport High School on Friday, August 25th. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. Be sure to like and follow Dundee Vikings football on Facebook for information on games, as well as live video updates from games before kickoff, at the half, and post-game from yours truly. So for head coach Kyle McIlvain, along with Cole Salonby, Austin Gabriel, and Callan Lewis, I'm Frank Thatcher. Thanks for watching. We'll see you under the lights at Airport.